Before we get started, Amanda, one of the things I was gonna bring like this coolest location we've ever been in, which is kind of cool. And so I was going to kind of share a little bit about the history of the building, what they know, nothing on the spot of thesis on it or anything, but you want to share a little bit about where we're at.
Yeah, so we're in Western Hall, and this building was originally built by Eli Lilly, who loved music, and he wanted to bring in a pipe organ. And so the pipe organ used to sit on the back wall. That was in about the 20s. And then over the years, the space has been renovated. The pipe organ was sold. There was an apple orchard on the site here, and it's been obviously changed into more of a conference location for us. A lot of history here. Since then, the apple orchard has slowly been taken over and become our school, and we still sell products from some apple trees that still exist. We have to, right? Required to actually sell cider and things on a little shop on off of 71st Street. So welcome. We're glad you're here. This is an easy moment to be able to gather. Thanks for bringing us here together.
We had a few people ask if we would do a virtual setting, so we've got YouTube Live going, so just be cautious of that. Your conversations are. But we're going to start with Amanda's going to talk to us a little bit about Kick from Canvas. We appreciate her coming out from Utah and providing breakfast and drinks and all the fun.
I know, I love 16 but that's how much I love it. Yes. All right, well, thank you all. Thanks for part tutor. This is the first time I actually been to school. I can't wait to drive around campus afterwards to see it. But thank you for letting us host here. I'm super excited. This is my first INCUE. So thanks for letting me be part of it. I saw some of you at HEC, some of you I didn't see at HEC. It was a heckful time. It was great, but I wanted to come back and just kind of touch base on a few things. By show of hands, how many people have been in Canvas since the My Big Canvas days? 5, 6 years now? Okay, and then how many newbies do I have? Okay. Yeah, I'm calling you out. Oh, we have another one for your 10K. Okay, awesome. Well, I want to try to cover a few things that maybe some of you already know about, some of you don't know about, and try to just cover the bases and talk about new releases, what's coming up, our new portfolio. I'm sure you all heard about the EduCause release of Portfolio Network, and if you haven't, I wanted to kind of touch base on that with you today. If you are in the districts that are using the e-portfolios, this is going to make a world of difference for your students, your staff, I mean, pretty much everyone involved. And can you all hear me okay, or do I need this? It's so loud, I feel like. Okay, all right, well, first thing I have this pulled up just because I am super passionate about ADA compliance. My nephew has Gulf syndrome, it's an unknown syndrome from storm, and he has a lot of needs. He needs screen readers, he needs just visual impairment. So what I really love, and I'm sure you all have noticed these new changes, but this right here, we try to make this even more accessible for educators. Now you're noticing a little eye dot. It just means kids can't see that line, of course, but everything's going to be underlined from here on out. And then another feature, I'm sure you all have seen this or played with it, or maybe not, but when you are creating things online, I know we're going to be talking about sharing stuff in the comments and building a consortium for the INCUE group. You really, again, have to think about that ADA compliance. We're building items online for those e-days. I want a parent to be able to read or hear or see the same thing as students can, or vice versa the student. So when you all are creating things inside of Canvas, you can click on this little icon right here, it will check the accessibility for you. I don't expect you to be a guru at accessibility. That's for you all are educators, your tech educators, your Canvas admins. But for when you're creating things, this one's pretty much already done. So when you check on this, it will tell you exactly what you need to do. You need to add captions, you need to merge items, merge links, but it's going to tell you exactly what needs to happen. So when you are creating those e-days, I mean, I know you all just had one, I think, was it last week, this week? I don't even know. Today's Monday. What am I talking about? This is going to really help. And then once you share those items to comments, they will be that ADA compliant. So make sure to kind of play around with that when you're creating, bringing in pictures, add those little captions. While I'm on the ADA compliance part, I'm sure, again, you all have heard through the mingle and the mix that we have partnered with Microsoft for the Immersive Reader. Have you heard of that yet? Have you turned it on in your accounts or beta? Okay, awesome. So the Immersive Reader, it is another ADA compliance tool, which is amazing from Microsoft. I think I might have just gone into it. But what it's going to be is you can turn it on and reach out to your CSMs. It was in beta for probably, 4 weeks, maybe a month or so after EduCause, and now it's ready to be brought into production. It's a lot of fun to just kind of play with. There's been some tips and tricks on this little, release notes, but it's going to give those students visuals, verbals, written statements. It's going to read some of the words to the students, and it's just going to change Canvas for those students that actually need this in compliance. So if you do have this on, awesome. If you don't, reach out to your CSM. They'll be able to turn that on for you. And then go ahead and start playing with it. We want to see how many people actually are into it. Yes?
Our CSM has mentioned that they were working with Microsoft to determine if it was going to be a charged product. Have you heard any more about that?
We're still working with it. Right now it's a free trial, and so we're trying to keep it that way. But again, Microsoft is a totally different company, and sometimes we have to abide by their rules and regulations. So I would say get in and try it maybe on your test account or in your beta account if you don't want the world to see that you have it. And you all know, maybe the newbies don't, you all know that you have 3 different accounts in Canvas. You have a test account, a beta account, and an actual live production. So if you do want to try this out in your test account, it will reset every 3 weeks, but at least you can try this out and test out the waters. I'm hoping they don't charge for it. I mean, Flipgrid, they don't charge for Flipgrid. I'm hoping they just keep this at a minimal cost for our students. So that is going to be in the release notes. Another thing, you can actually, for the newbies and the oldies, you can actually come to the Canvas community, and you can look at all of the release notes that are coming up to par or up to date. These are the most recent ones, the dashboard, favorite items, the new grade book. I know that they did push production back a little bit. This right here, I've been not answering any questions about this. Straight up, I already don't know.
We'll get out a couple hours early because that was
And I work for Canvas, so I can joke about this. I'm always like, this is not next, this is not when. What? Huh? When is it coming? I am an ex-pig farmer. I don't understand how to build quizzes.next, and apparently it is a lot of work. And so they're doing things with that on the back end and trying to make that product that's going to be finished. If you are a district, though, that is pushing the limits with the new quizzing engine, please let me know. I'm the loudest Canvas advocate you have in the company. I do work at home office. I run downstairs, talk to the product team, I talk to support. They hear me. So a lot of times the product will come out with me, or they'll meet some of my clients and they say, hey, can you show me what you're doing in quizzes, where you're stopping, where you're finding a wall? That helps them realize that they're engineers that are building these items, and unless they hear from you, actual educators, they sometimes miss the boat. So for an example, I took out, if you're doing standards-based grading and competency-based education, I just took the product team out to Wisconsin and Chicago area and had them visit with districts who are heavily doing it, but they're hitting that wall. And so that's kind of, I'm an advocate. So I'd like to, if you are at that point pushing quizzes.next, or quizzes is what it's going to be called, please let me know. I'd love to set you up with the product team. Have them go through it with you. I mean, that's what makes this product better. And you all know that as an INCUE group. We like to listen to you and we want to make it better. What we're missing. So you can always go to the release notes, and of course, a lot more releases. They like to keep things quiet sometimes, but a lot more releases will be had throughout the year. And then I believe that InstructureCon, some major releases will, of course, be rebuilt. Another item that I wanted to mention is the portfolio. Have any of you heard of portfolio? Provide a show of hands. Have any of you heard of portfolio? Okay, awesome. So for those of you who have not, in Canvas, I'll show this to you really quick. Everybody in Canvas has the e-portfolio, right? And if you looked at this e-portfolio, it's kind of just simple. We just like to be able to put things in that for the students so they can take that with them when they graduate. Our e-portfolio is going to be changing, so it's going to go away. You're not going to necessarily lose it right off the bat. We're going to try to get rid of that down the road because we partnered with Portfolio. And Portfolio is an external tool that will actually also live inside of Canvas. So that e-portfolio will now be Canvas Folio Network. And Portfolio is an amazing resource. It's kind of like if you take LinkedIn, Facebook, and just life, really, what you're doing in your education, and you smush it all together. And you can have pathways, you can have mentorships, you can have endorsements for your students. So we're thinking career-based, technical-based, but again, students and teachers can actually start building that portfolio within Canvas and then take that with them. So when you have the certifications that your teachers are receiving, whether they're the digital citizen, anything that you're doing with the micro-credentialing, the badging, it can all be done inside the portfolio. And what's really nice about this is I've been working with districts that say some of my students aren't college bound. My kid is college bound, but they should be able to take what they've done in school and go get a job. And that's why we acquired Portfolio, because our e-portfolio is great, but I need something for the kids to keep for adults as well. So you'll start noticing some changes with the portfolio. If you do want to start building portfolios for your students or for yourselves, you can actually go to portfolio.com, and then once it's built, we'll just link it together for them at the back end. They will have single sign-on. Most of the time, your kids are going to log in with your school ID, but then they can actually change their IDs afterwards to either Facebook, LinkedIn, or just a Google site. So I love this. I think this is an amazing resource and an amazing tool. But go ahead, jump in, start playing with those. There's some examples of them. I can share that with the INCUE group as well.
Make sure you share with it, because right now it's free, but it's public. If you use the free version and it's 13 or older.
Yep.
So this is not something you're going to want to use with students in elementary and middle school.
Yeah.
Our CSM said that they were trying to work on making it to where it could be, but right now it's not compliant.
Not fully, yeah, because we can start at 13. We're trying to, and we've got some schools who start the pathways for students in kindergarten, second grade, third grade, once they start testing and getting into that realm. But we are trying to work with them since we did acquire them. We are perfect and focused, so they have to be as well. So we got to get them up to par. But if you start building it, I would say, we've seen this used in a ton of classes plus colleges and universities as well. They can transfer all of those resources. So that's portfolio. Take a dive in there. It's awesome. I mean, nowadays, I used to teach resume writing, and nowadays there's no more resumes. It's literally, what can you show me online that you've done? And I think that's the big shift. I miss those days of teaching resume writing and how simple it was, but now it's even better because anything they do in Canvas, outside of Canvas, they can just bring all in this and share that with their jobs in the future. So those are the kind of newest things up and coming. And then really, I just kind of wanted to ask questions, see if you guys had any questions, or if there's tips or tricks, or if there's something that you got. I know I'm not answering business questions again. I'll say that one time. Business questions. But I mean, is there anything that anyone has a burning question for me? And if I can't answer it, of course, I definitely will get the answer later. Or anything that's popped up in the community that you all are questioning or wondering about. Well, I see you all in Nashville. Yes. One thing I'm going to have your CSMs do is I'm going to try, we're working on pre-con. I don't know if any of you have ever been to InstructureCon and done the pre-con events, and then Structure, and then the UNCON. UNCON last year was amazing. We broke down all those sessions and just dove in a little bit deeper. And what I like about the UNCON is you learn what you're supposed to take back to your districts versus you take everything. It just kind of fine-tunes what your learning should be. I'm going to be pushing for a pre-con Midwest pre-con. I know, is Midwest? Okay. I'm from like Texas and Missouri, so I think that's Midwest, but that's apparently not. I don't know my geography. What I'm going to be pushing for, I'm going to have the CSN send out a survey. I understand you all start school really quickly. Like I want to say August 12th, 15th is when you're going back. And we're pushing it through.
July 30th.
What?
This year we started July 30th.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm sorry. Okay, so on that note, I'm really glad I'm bringing this up. I talked to the lady who actually runs the InstructureCons, and I told her, it started so early, but I told her my Indiana group, my Illinois group, and some of my Missouri folks start so soon, right after InstructureCon. It's hard for you all to stay. So I'm going to be pushing for a Midwest pre-con day, where it's just Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, Michigan, all of the states around us. We we can all meet, because you all start so early. So if you are thinking about wanting to come to instruction time, but you are back to back at the start of school, I'm going to try to push for that one day beforehand for instruction time, and if you have to leave, at least you can get something out of it. So, and what is Nashville, 6-hour drive? Yeah, so it's not too bad. But yes, I'm going to be pushing for that. I will have your CSM send out a survey just to see how many people possibly want to be involved in that. Again, you guys start on July 31st. You're right. You go to instruction time, then you start school. I'm hoping it doesn't start that soon next year.
Yeah, if you have something you could share is instruction time has to be earlier than what it's going to be next year. Like that's our first week of school at Zionsville, and so like we're not going to be able to go.
Well, we have and just to let you all know, we have a contract that we have to do it with the Gaylord community, like that Gaylord property. And I'm sure you all heard, and I'm probably saying too much right now.
Do I need to turn off YouTube Live?
Maybe. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just stoked that we have it out in the Midwest now, like in Nashville. This is an opportunity for everyone out here to come, because I feel like it's been great having it in Colorado and California, but it's hard for you all to get there and hard for you to travel. So I'm pretty excited about it. My first time in Nashville, so I'm excited to it's here. Hopefully you all will be able to come. I push for it to be later all the time. Like I said, you have the loudest campus advocate in the company. So I'll push for it next year. But again, July 28th through the 30th, and to make it, I'll send out that survey and see if we can get it Monday and have the structure actually build that out. So that's part of the structure. Why not, right? What's the worst they're going to say? No. Nobody said they do. But heck with the unicorn. All right, so any other questions before I give the mic over to the next person, or I'll be here all day signing autographs.
The new RCE enhancements.
That was actually, I was looking at that release earlier. It's either this week or next, I believe. I can get back to you on that to find out the date. Because are you talking about the drag and drop, like dragging in and all of the new rich content editor, the topper? Yeah. I thought it was supposed to be this week, but I'll double check the production and just make sure it's going to be turned on. So, rich content editor. Anything else you want me to check on while we're in this meeting or follow up with? Okay, awesome. Well, again, I'm Amanda, or AK. You guys can call me AK. I love being part of the excited to work today.
Back off of what she talked about on the immersive reader. I know most of the state of Indiana is a Google districts, but coming from Microsoft 360 district, we use immersive reader all the time. It is awesome. Teaches at one of our middle schools and struggling readers. But like Andy had a student last year that came in speaking absolutely no English at all. And this is one of those things that it will read the text. So it was able to read all of his notes to that student. There's picture dictionaries built in, so they can click on the word library and a picture of a library comes up. And then there's a translation feature in there. So he was able to translate those notes into the kid was able to translate the notes into Mandarin, be able to understand it, and then he could type it back, and then Andy could translate it back to English. And so it's a really great product. It's something that you can, it's got a lot of features. It'll highlight nouns, verbs, adjectives. It'll select just one line at a time as it reads. You can change the speed so it's so fast that you can't read it or understand it. The kids like to do that. But if you get a chance, test it out while it's free. I think it's something that it's great when it's in Microsoft's our Word Online and OneNote, but to have it where all of our Canvas pages can now have that same feature.
On your pages, you can go in and start to add those. I mean, it's, yeah, we just gotta make it accessible for all. So, and again, if you want me to, I can even reach out to your CSMs while I'm here, but I'm gonna let you all do that because I don't know where you want me to turn it on or when you want to turn it on. So, enjoy that. And yeah, if there's any other questions throughout the day, I do have and structure in my back pocket right now. So if there's any questions that I can't answer, I can easily ask them and give some responses. Oh, one last thing. I totally spaced this. I had a session at HEC. I talked about blueprint courses and commons. Okay. I found out I was wrong. I'm talking to you. Because I was trying to find your email. Blueprint course is great. I don't know if you all have started playing with blueprint courses or not. If you have questions about blueprints, I can answer those later. But I did find out you cannot have 2 blueprints associated with 1 course. So in that scenario, we were talking about building assessments and or tests, high-stake tests in 1 blueprint, and then common knowledge and just stuff we want to push out in another. That's the resource that I would say you probably want to either use commons or a template course, or just the constant push outs if that's the case, and then use the blueprint for the test, or vice versa. If we're pushing out content consistently to our teachers, I would build that in your blueprint with your PLC teams, push that resource out, and then build those high stakes tests in a template course or in commons where teachers can then go in. Because in commons now you can vet items and you can say, yes, this has been vetted by the district PLC team, this is an approved assessment, you can import this into your course. And I know we're going to talk about commons here in a little bit anyways, but you can start breaking those down to 7th grade math tests. And you put all of your tests in and then fix those as the years go on to fit those updates. So again, sorry, but remember, I'm always going to fix it. So I'm sorry it's wrong, but only 1 blueprint to a course, and then use those template courses. All right, I think that was it that I messed up on. Okay, fabulous. Well, thank you again. I'm excited to learn from you all today, and if there's any other questions, please stop. So, I'm going to hand this over to you.
I can go ahead and take it. By the way, I guess I did do a really good job. I know a lot of you already. My name's Kyle Meinfarn, one that was sending out all the emails. We've kind of gone through a transition with INCUE because Megan Tolan kind of took that on and spearheaded it and was the great organizer of it all. And then she took a job at Trine University, which uses Moodle of all things. She's not happy about it. And so she's still working on 1 professor at a time, trying to convince them to go to Canvas. And so she's asked Christy, Stefan, and I to kind of take over INCUE. And then Christy emails me, and I think maybe a text saying, hey, just an FYI, as we're planning this INCUE, I'm leaving Noblesville. And so if you haven't heard, matter of fact, today's her first day on her new job outside of education. So Christy's no longer going to be here because she's not at Noblesville anymore. I did tell her that she needed to get her picture with her backpack on for her first day of work outside of education and post it online. So I'm hoping to see that. But she says to say hello, and that she's going to definitely miss these INCUE meetings as well. But if this is your first time, this is a very informal group. We're all about just sharing with one another. And so feel free as we're going through today. If there's something you want to add or you have an insight about whatever we're talking about, just raise your hand, shout out, and we will hopefully just be able to learn from one another. Really, our only big rule is this isn't a place where we're just going to complain about things that don't work with Canvas. We all know its limitations and frustrations, but instead, let's talk about the focus on, okay, so how are you working around this issue? Or what can we do to communicate with Canvas as, hey, you know, this is something that seems more higher ed focused. How can we make that fit with our kindergarten, first grade students? And so really, hopefully we'll be able to leave today as well as every session that we have a little bit better and a little bit stronger with using Canvas. Diana's also going to kind of help me out because I contacted when Christy said, I'm leaving. I'm like, oh no, I am not going to be able to do this all by myself. And so, I mean, it's collaboration. So if there's others that want to kind of spearhead with us, we're going to kind of take this on. But we did kind of get a little late start this year. I think just the year got away from us. But how often do we want to meet as a group? We want to try to meet once a semester, 3 times a year. What are your thoughts? So share amongst yourselves, and then we'll kind of talk about it. So talk with the people around your table. What are your thoughts? Your availability. How often do you think we need to meet? How often do you want to meet?
into
On a semester? Anybody need to be more or less than that? That sound good? Thumbs up, thumbs down, semester? So twice a year? I think that's me. Test one, yeah, definitely. Any other times we want to make sure we avoid, other than the spring testing?
We're talking about possibly something in the summer, if this group offer something like a campus at camp or partner, like it might be good at campus at camp. Invited some area schools where it's these type of experienced facilitators offering help and sessions throughout, then the teachers can come because that voice is often underrepresented at these meetings because of so something. So if you want to, anybody want to partner on offering a day, I can offer Tyke's campus at camp that we offer as a starter for that.
Or even possibly, I mean, we have the whole summer be learning that happens every year. Finding one of the central ones that we maybe do a day before or after the day of that conference. Hey, we're all going to get together and go out for libations afterwards. But I think that could be something we can do during the summer as well. Probably piggyback off of what people are already doing, some of those things. Definitely. Any other suggestions, ideas, feedback? All right, well, the next thing kind of on our agenda is talking about Canvas Commons Consortium. How many of you are even aware of this? I learned about it at HEC this year. So now in Canvas Commons, you know, you can share with groups that you have within your Canvas, like specific schools, groups that you have set up in there. You can also just share it with your district. But now you have the ability to create your own consortiums with other districts. And so if we wanted to, we could create a consortium of Indiana Canvas users that we could share resources. I was just talking with AK, you know, one of the things that keeps coming up when we ever for topics for INCUE is how are other schools using it in the elementaries? What does this look like? How can I make this more elementary friendly? And she was just saying, you know, a lot of times the drawback for our elementary teachers is instead of reading, okay, what does a course look like for my kids? They can't even read that left column in first grade, let alone get to a module. And so maybe we can create some templates that fit that others can share and modify as they want.
Well, and the other thing that's great about the consortium in Commons is you all work closely with a lot of the higher ed institutes as well. And so they have resources, right? That like okay, we have a digital learning space, and they've got people like Megan that creates digital learning environments or helps build those templates. And so I think it'd be even more amazing to start incorporating those resources as well and have them shared to your INCUE Commons, because it's a pedagogical mind shift, number one, for a kindergarten teacher to build a button, and a kindergarten teacher doesn't know how to build a button for Canvas. It's like they weren't taught that. And so I feel like if we can start to use the resources internally, which what it is in Commons, and I think he'll jump in and show you, is basically instead of it just being Zionsville sharing with only Zionsville or the world, you all have a consortium of just all of these districts in the INCUE group that are sharing resources together back and forth. You can still vet items. I showed your E-Day kindergarten template a couple times, but why can't we all have that resource to that E-Day template? Another thing that I'm probably going to get in trouble for is, how many of you are trying to get into the elementary area right now? I mean, a lot of you have started in middle school or high school, but how many, by a show of hands, are trying to get elementary usage? Okay, would it be beneficial for me to reach out to Instructure and see if I can get the INCUE group a course template for a kindergarten class with the buttons already built and the template already built, and just having a teacher go in and plug and play versus them start from scratch? Okay, I'll work on that then. I'll try to get that built, or I'll try to get you all an easy, simple template where teachers can just go in, plug and play, put in their own pictures and their own information. But then I'll try to get it dropped into the INCUE group once we start building that. We just need to make sure to have all the districts, say approve it. But you can show them where that is.
Okay. I'm an admin tab. Choosing Canvas. So if you like something happens to associate on, go into the Google Doc, have a consortium bullet, and put your district's name, and we can add to that. If you're on here, because I saw it, hey, that's something we're going to do. That's something that when you or your teachers want to share something, you can go in, and that's would be an option to share to INCUE, and it would go to all of the districts that are part of that. That I'm guessing that if you can go under.
Go to yours.
Your admin consortium.
I know what's great is it takes away that 78,000 results and it drops it down to just what your districts are sharing. And so if you do have a great E-Day module built out, I mean, that's just another resource that I can plug and play in my own system, change it up a little bit, and then make it my own. So I just think building these consortiums, and then eventually down the road, like I said, maybe invite IUPUI or Megan Tolan from her district or her college. But I mean, just invite people that you think would be an addition, to add those tools or those buttons, or a tech savvy folk. Yeah. They're vetted. It's like a vetted material.
this. This is a common assessment that we approve of. So teachers can start looking for those little techniques in the corner.
Do you have 74 kindergarten teachers in your district? That's awesome, though. That's been downloaded 74 times.
Well, it's a little misleading because so far eBay. So we don't really have
And on that note, and I don't know how many of you know this or not, but there is no limit to space for K-12. So a lot of districts will set a course at 500, 1,000 megabytes or 1,000 gigabytes is a lot. We've never had one individual user go over a terabyte. So if you are starting to use a lot more videos or starting to download those, you can actually update your space in each course or for your account as an overhaul and just let your teachers utilize that. For those E-days, it makes sense. There's going to be a ton of videos. But if they are getting that response, that's probably why. But you do have limited or unlimited access to space, I guess.
Well, and common sense, we use a lot of common sense meetings. There's a lot of digital leadership, so there's also science activities. Yes, we focus on that. And since it was a predetermined day, that was a day that kind of kickstarted.
Open that bad boy up, Kyle. Show them really quick. I think it's awesome. And you all know you can view things in comments now, and that's been a game changer. So your teachers don't have to download it and then look at it and then decide what they want or don't want. I think that's been huge for educators.
We started with CTO, kids that have as much trouble as the parents. How to navigate it. They want to follow along. So the peers want to navigate it.
Yeah.
New quizzes.
New quizzes.
Create stimulate those questions so you can put the S or the article or any kind of video or anything over on the left and the questions on the right. Just like they're going to see an highlight. What? Yeah. You got paid. You have to use yourself. One thing we hate about the new quizzes is that when they exit out, it comes back to the module list instead of going back to the next thing module. teaching the kids, especially our kindergartners, how to go find where they left off at, and go back. So it's the iron part of us.
Well, I guess you could build you would have to build like a mastery path off that. So you would just put them right back off once they're done.
Brain boots. All game. Wellness or key teachers talking about we encourage all of our kids to sit down with their parents.
One more question.
Yes.
You said you're running the import here because the videos, I don't think I can't hear very well. Solutions.
In each course, you can up the amount of files that they can have in the course. So in our district, it was set at 500 megabytes. So I changed it to 5,000.
Okay.
If you go to your accounts and go to settings, you can update your quota is what it's called. And you can give course access or account access as well. So you can change both. I think it's set at 500 just as a default, but you can go in and change that if you need to.
Anything else about campus time? Put it in the notes if you're interested. You can add it to that for your district. And then you can go in under the admin tab and set that.
And I'll see if I can get that elementary template dropped into the INCUE Commons so you all have access to that, and then you can just import it and then start to maybe make a blueprint of it for your kindergarten class, your second grade class, third grade, so forth. Yes, sir.
And I just teach 10th grade, so I'm not dealing with elementary kids. But as far as that left-hand bars, is that something that we just so that teachers can say, there's another one that has a triangle next to it?
Yeah,
Something
some of our districts use Canva to just create little images and badges. And so what they'll do is like at the bottom of the page, there's like a little home. It's a little home, and that takes them right back to the home page. And so that's linked with that home page. And that's what we're, yeah, because a lot of times what like I went to visit a kindergarten class and they turned everything off but just home. Because once the kids see, I mean, I have a 3-year-old that knows how to spell park after it. I'm like, we're going to go to the PARK. She's like, the park? You don't even know. Anyway, once they see home and they notice that home button, it takes them right back. So a lot of times our kindergarten through second grade usually turns everything off except for the home button and Google or Microsoft, whatever they're using, Nearpod. But then they'll use those images. And Canva can create images. You can find images anywhere online and just bring that image in and link it to any of your resources. So the other part with the little icons that we already have, we've changed those around a couple times. We are worldwide now as well, and so we also have to think quizzes in our language is not quizzes in the Netherlands, and so we have to try to make sure that it's universal. But that's a good thought. But a lot of times you'll just use that little home button and it'll take them right back.
See everything is hidden off the side. The kids recognize the folders, so they always have their E-days when they are talking. Probably not going to necessarily be secondary. We're going to use it more science skill learners. So you can teach your names, text box, and then use four calls. Something that our high schools can use as well. One thing that I find in my job, especially with teachers, our teachers use this, and then customize and make their own there. We have very little what we require our teachers to have in this course. Regularly, especially at high school. Kids. This kind of leads into the next section of our agenda. It's just kind of a showcase and sharing what are some of the things you're doing that's really works. So I just kind of sharing this is what we're planning for next year. We've used the same classroom template since we started 6 years ago. And so it seems like a good time now that most of our staff has been using it for a while. Okay, what's working, what hasn't worked. What are some of the things that going on here just what we'd like to share with the group? Hey, this is something that's really work with our teachers.
Say one thing that we have on our templates for Pike Township teachers and that we encourage is put some type of behavior statement right on that homepage. This is just generic, but at the elementary level, they do something like, remember, even online, we do the right thing and we treat people right, which is a lot of our language that they use in the classroom. Secondary, it's something from the standards for students. Remember, we are all digital leaders. We know that we have the right responsibilities in the world. We have to model in ways that are kind, safe, and legal. And I just feel like that's a big thing for us to put right on our homepage all the time. Some kind of digital citizenship line that says, just like you walk into your physical classroom and have your classroom expectations. Say our homepage requirements are that the students know where they are, what they're supposed to do to get started, and how they're supposed to behave while they're there. So just big three that we don't have like a requirement, you have to do this or that, but we need to have those three right away.
That makes sense because teachers have their classroom rules on their boards the entire year. So why not have it on the homepage? That makes sense.
Also, I've documented if we add those to the group. Something more into something that I really want to think is that important to share. I'll put it in here. Maybe a link to something that you have or a resource that you found really great for your district. Feel free to put that information in there as well. I really struggle with wait time.
And I'll share another resource on this Google Doc as well. I'll throw on. I went and visited some elementary districts and tried to not videotape the kids. They kept wanting to get in my camera. I videotaped what other districts are doing. So one of the districts that I visited in Texas uses pathways and quizzes, like as a worksheet almost. The students will take a quiz, and then whatever they score, it'll push them down the pathway. But the path is actually the station. So a lot of times it's the teacher's table. It's a picture of the teacher's table. So that those group of kids need to review with the teacher. When the other kids go into the technology center, the other ones are playing with blocks and building whatever they're doing in their stations. That was one resource, and I'll share that. I've got an entire Google slide built out of videos, concepts, and what the districts are doing in kindergarten through fourth grade. And this is a bunch of different classrooms. So I'll make sure to share that as well. And they've just got a ton of different resources. I know that's the big push right now is K through 5, K through 4.
What are some of the things your district is looking for computer science standards?
Digital solutions, we build a lot of tools at every grade level, for middle school, high school, elementary school. And that is the comments that push out to everybody. Obviously, that we also need to requirements. So we build it around and ensure that every single class goes through that module. There's a sign off to make sure that they come in. And I mean, that goes over pretty well. It's not like shouldn't be teaching it more than just that module, but every class goes through that. And usually our teacher integration coaches are the ones that are on that.
Great policy. So that we can assign courses through there as well as the things that go through school. What else next? Talk about. Ambiance.
From college, use that same concept, and we've given some key answers to
access to that as teachers, council has a module they counselors, and then we can have one for special schedules. So if we have that, we can publish it out. Teachers always get that information. And it's nice for schools to have information too. Changes and it feels great. It's about a little.
I think courses and modules, how are you using, what kind of things are you putting in?
We're doing it. What we started doing was last year. I'm from Yorktown, like Boston. So we decided last year to stop doing one size fits all in high school learning, and we changed it from development to learning because we're not developing teachers. And so we decided to let teachers choose what they wanted to learn. And so we offer different sessions. Some of them are modules and themes, some of them are face-to-face, and online. Some of them start at 7 a.m. and 7 a.m. activities. So some are like for December, we're doing a lot in modules. Well, so we know that people won't have as much time in their day, finals, and things, but we also know that they'll have time during Christmas break to work on modules. It's a point system, and we also are using some kind of stipend teachers for a minimum amount of points or hours. So I think that's going really well. We're just, just 3 months into it, but I think teachers like it. And we're not what they have to learn.
Developing. Is that all on your shoulders or?
Yeah, my baby. I mean, I have the integrated coaches. So they do help sessions in their buildings. And they build a few modules around like the seesaw, but I'm not an expert in so they definitely help. But the organization of the calendar, all that.
Yeah, I have various courses created for teachers where if they want to for professional development weeks, they can go through and complete those courses. So some of them are just basic Canvas, advanced Canvas, various other topics. Most recently, that's how we prepare our teachers. We're in the process of figuring out how to do e-learning days. And so we did practice last month. We will practice again on Wednesday. And so to kind of help the teachers see different models and how do I do all these different things.
Canvas has created a really good course. It's called Growing with Canvas.
Also, like the levels of learning too, because that those 2 thousand.
So this is a good place, especially for your new teachers or just teachers that kind of plateaued how they're using Canvas and maybe taking it to the next step. So Growing with Canvas is a common, so you can download that for free.
Close to it, because someone is outdated.
Is it?
Yes.
There you go, Aiken. Time to update Growing with Canvas. It's outdated.
Did you go into comments and hit the update button in your course? Yeah, if you go into comments, it'll tell you what's been updated and you can choose to update it or not.
Okay.
And then the only other one that can't, I also found is, I was gonna mention this, levels of learning, LOL. This is built from Blue Valley. They built this and it's got the badging, it gives them coins, like teachers coins, so they're just kind of gamifying, I guess, professional development. But it's built out, it's beautiful. Brian Moser built this with his district down there in Blue Valley, and so this is another great resource. They've been doing a lot more blended learning and trying to get teachers first comfortable with Canvas because it's just a piece of blended learning. It's technology, but it's still a Canvas version. So that's another one you can find in Commons and import that into for PD and then turn on those badges and set up.
all know, we have that virtual badge now, so you can do the micro-credential. We have a district in Missouri mix-up. I'll try to see if I can get a couple screenshots or have Sarah give me a screencast of it, but Sarah Knight down there has built out modules, kind of the same way you were talking earlier about how teachers choose what they want to learn. So, hey, I want your body in my class. Okay, well, pick the module first, let me know your understanding of your body, how you're going to be using it, and then once they finish that module, they have the badge, they can then go to Sarah and say, I'm taking this course, I have your class. So that's kind of the way districts are using professional development. But I'll try to get some screencasts from her. The way it's built out is just beautiful. I'm trying to get another option right now, but there's resources you can have a course, and there can be just I guess buttons, and one can be modules, but one can just be teacher resources, and it can be where teachers share resources. So have that shared concept in one space. I'll see if I can get that pulled up.
We, through our educational grants, our Education Foundation Science Bill, received like class set of VR headsets, class set of spheros, spectrums. Now we're working on getting some rovers, robotics. But one of the things the grant committee always asks if they want that documentation, who's using it, when they're using it, and we wanted to make sure that for the VR headset, it wasn't just teachers hanging out because VR is cool and all the kids love VR. They love the entertainment side of VR, as an educational side. So one of the things that we wrote in our grant was that every teacher would go through training on that. So we just created we stole local skills and modified it to meet our own. But every teacher that if they want to use our VR headset in the district, headsets, they have to go through the course, submit an assignment, which is just Google's template that they've created for some teachers that use VR, and then they can go in. Because we have a course, they can come over here to the calendar, and we have VR headset calendar set up so they can see when it's available. So they can just email me and say, hey, I'd love to use it next Friday. It looks like it's free. So you can see how it's so it's a way for me to help navigate the scheduling of it, especially because there's two of me. Carly also is doing it as well, so it's a shared calendar that everybody can see. It's not my outlook as well. What else you guys do on this share-worthy?
So we use Canvas modules for some of our current teacher training. So I'm also our immersion test coordinator. So we set up the test and security training. We actually use badgers and track that. So I have the documentation built in Canvas. All the materials are there. So when we did the refresher course in the spring, they revisited and the assessments there. So they have access to it school year, and we have documentation.
How many are you doing badging with your students or with your staff? How's that work? Anyone share this?
Yeah, we do. We set it up in the drawing Canvas course. We set it up in our and it does pretty well. Obviously, created a opposite way. Very simple to set up.
Yeah, we just do it with our teachers as well, but it's kind of like I said, what more pathogens than you're going to use. So it's, we don't do the whole competition. So,
I have a few teachers that are using it with their kids, and it's very successful. It's very successful.
What else you guys do?
We get the technology training for them from Washington National Schools. And each week, every Wednesday morning, I have a set
it's just, quick hitters. Quick hitter one is like, you know that you could, students see it, so it's like my way of showing them how they try to see students, like use student view, just like different aspects of campus, because again, it's very overwhelming for a lot of our teachers, that a lot of them are just don't know what to do with Canvas still. So by kind of putting out there one little, oh, did you know you could do this? And so once a week, it's not always Canvas, sometimes it's maybe Google related, or something else that they may be realizing. So like this last week I always add like a funny GIF or something to catch their attention. And this past week I did one where we had teachers for our learning day. We had pushed out a ton, like we had our blueprints this year, and there was the learning day button, and then we had a module where one of our teachers used it. They didn't maybe use all the pages in our module, but they did not publish those pages. And so it was one of those things where, just kind of like reminded them, like, just, you use the template and make sure if you're not using certain things. So I had like, I don't remember what my gift was, but just again, for me to kind of catch their attention, but then it's also meaningful for them. It's usually really quick, like one paper. Easily used.
Seems to get the most success with our schools. Something that's quick, a short video that's less than a minute, and something that they can quickly scan and get more traction. That the Halloween video for that got more feedback than that. Anything they did for education. What else?
To piggyback off of what Amy had said earlier about creating the rules. We had also created a really quick and easy, more graphically based PDF illustrate how to do that. So I created a bit.ly link for it, and it's just bit.ly effective page campus.
Yeah, if you.
Okay. Put those in the shirt notes. I have to go there.
Anyone else?
So I'm a fifth grade teacher, but with the computer science there was being more instruction. The other teacher, science, we've been using Google's Meeting also for as our computer science visual citizenship incorporation to it. So for E-Days, the last couple we've had this year, they've been scheduled with for our middle schools. But each one of those worlds, if you're not familiar with being awesome, each world is a different focus. And so we made that our E-Day focus point. And so incorporated Break Pop, video course to that with a Be Kind on Interland. And then last night with Valley River of not falling for fake, links or how to recognize a good link or a bad link or spam or phishing. And so those are all really great incorporations into computer science, but the digital citizenship. They followed up with Canvas quiz or Canvas or quizzes next assessments to follow up, make sure that they actually went through it. Students are really not signed in for.
I love Ed Puzzle integrating with Canvas now. It's great.
What are some of the LTI tools or external tools that you're using inside of Canvas that's worked well? Puzzle,
Nearpod,
Nearpod.
CKSWorld.org.
Use it a lot. That's a new tool that everybody's switching from.
And you all know about the EduApp Center, right? Okay.
In Canvas, Canvas we've been doing for our training this year. We did a Canvas camp during the summer, invited teachers to come. It was very open and flexible with what they needed because 90% of the feedback we got is I just need time to work in this, just need more time. We leveraged a lot of our Title II PE dollars to pay stipends for our teachers to have work time with assistants and mini lessons during the summer, and that was so popular. We started doing Camp Canvas events after school, a 3-hour open window. We've tasked some of our teachers who are our digital learning teacher leaders, and they come as facilitators, and we've kind of refined this. I think we've offered 4 this semester leading up to our practice e-learning days this year with eyes on a full e-learning day next November on Election Day. We'll probably offer multiple more next semester, but those have been the best, the most attended PD sessions I've ever offered.
Back in, we're like, talk about the new podcast they get going on. It's all the rage.
No, no. I think
There's probably one of those microphones. That's a weird.
How long have you guys been with Canvas? We want money. Yeah, last year we put out a survey of our teachers considering A1 possibly something else. And we realized a lot of our teachers didn't see solve. They just said, no, we'd rather stay with just for consistency and for parents. So if I've got a kindergartner and a middle schooler, they're not learning. You guys are okay with it? Let's use
the irrational solution to drop it and learn something.
Like what?
why don't we just learn this thing? Because
Yeah.
it's hard to do this thing. But yeah, so every once in a while we'll do it. What do you use? Like, we'll have a high school teacher. How do you use this classroom? It's so cheap. I'm like, well, I mean, no. For one, no. And for two, like, if you want to use a fillet knife, then you can use the Chevy. Like, no. But, you know, for our little kids, that's
Districts that do let them choose. Some are doing Google Classroom, some are using Canvas, some are using Google. I'm like, you're making that decision based on what's best for teachers, not what's best for kids.
right. You're not thinking about the other side. You're thinking about who's at home.
The kid thinking, okay, so where do I find my content for this class?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's hard enough just to be able to do it within Canvas because, like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
As far as setup, they just know they got the course in pieces, but each teacher can have their own way of arranging things. But yeah, be like, oh, let's see, I gotta go do this. And Mr. Board, he uses Moodle, so we go there.
Our teacher said she just emailed us.
Right,
What
right.
works is to do.
And then this teacher gave us a packet.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we outlaw packets for you guys.
So I mean, we're pretty close to that, but we've got, you know, they fill out the do I have at the beginning. And we have certain folks that don't. We also have a lot of folks who would rather not parent. And it's a lot easier to give your 9-year-old a packet and say, leave me alone, than it is to like be there.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of lives. Truthfully, that happens.
The one bathroom for 40 people. May not have been
Well,
set
yeah.
up.
You want stronger.
Yeah.
So, our director just sent me out just now. Regardless of what happens today, you want to leave. So I don't know if it's thinking it's like because they're teaching if you're pulled out, you know, so. But I feel like if you are homeschooled because when those schools make that day up at the end of the year, we're not going to be good. So what that means is those kids, they're going to find some course to do. There isn't nothing in school figuring out what to do with 400 kids. So yeah, but I don't know about tomorrow, just being a person to pray. Because, yeah, there you
Yes.
Still trying to figure out which book it is.
Thank you. I just like this one.
That's the portal to the underworld.
So she goes into it. Oh, yeah. That's good.
Right. I mean, you good? You good?
We're ready in a pinch.
We got one person. Yeah. Is it? Really? Kyle, your partner in crime volunteered you to help out with INCUE. Quick, he's in the bathroom.
Yeah, so it's a long drive.
There's a hole up here, yeah. Yeah, I'm in charge. We're going on the east side. Right next to 74.
We came from the other side.
Yeah. That's not an easy drive here, but works out. We're knocking out too. So she's looking at some flexible seating somewhere around here, like Lakeshore, wherever Lakeshore's at. So we're gonna go up there. So it makes it 2 for 1 day. Yeah.
I kind of like that summer idea to get more teachers involved.
We were talking to a group over there from the north, and they said that they're thinking about maybe a group up north. So it's like we had multiple groups in Kansas, like that summer we could back then.
Yeah.
So everybody come in the media for
Because that's where I come, because Western hasn't been doing it.
Yeah, that's
So
Did you get this message?
people are just, he just said, because see, last year, Tiffany, Todd, and somebody else were going to get us all together. And then I think Tiffany got brought down with somebody else. We never got together. So I was like, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to organize, whatever. I feel like I'm floating out on my own over there. Must be really, you know. So I'm glad that.
which is like some of the early hours here.
Yeah.
Trying to get every single place.
It's
I
actually-
And then very times, the last one I went to was our next time. So that's or they're working on their
I was just, I was so somebody wanted that, they were like, I'm just running somewhere.
There's never perfect time.
There's always going to be some. I can say, I'll be there. I can say, like, I can pay it.
I haven't been a kid. This way,
Yeah.
Well, it's not for the kids. That's my
that's
issue.
your,
Yeah.
that's all of ours, yeah.
We don't go back to the next week, so I think I can still pull that out. Hoping this is hoping for that. Maybe drag someone on with me, let's go from our district, sharing with teacher leaders. I was looking into FETC. When is it? Because I looked at FETC this January, and it's in Miami Beach this year.
Yeah, they've always had Orlando.
Yeah, and I was just in Miami Beach this summer when we went for our parents. It's like, oh, I'm actually like halfway from Lincoln. I would be okay. Because sometimes the new places.
Which it kind of somehow in Miami, state where at least that has got a great, as far as airport.
Conferences down there, it seems like.
I'd like to see kids.
Our assistant superintendent. He and I were talking about the test before, and like I follow him, and like he follows my he's already like got a gallon meter, binder. I called him and hey, I guess what people are running.
We also walk on great. So I was able to sort of make it kept the settings. Why didn't it finish? Then I
This was early 2007. Checked it out. You're right about
So,
I know, it's like, I swear.
Yeah, we've already created everything.
It's like a free year.
I think we got everybody to the restroom. So we're still ahead of schedule, so I think we're good to go, but AK had something she wanted to share with everybody.
This is an HPN. All right, I know that we're all sharing these resources together, so I just wanted to get a real quick flag and show you what I've added to this. This Canvas with little slide, this is the visit that I did to the Texas districts that heavily use Canvas. It's from kindergarten through fourth grade, I believe, is where I stopped at. And then Woodstock Elementary, they sent me a list of slides and it shows their home pages, their buttons, their concepts, what they're doing in kindergarten, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. Woodstock was a little different. They actually started in elementary and now they're in their high school 4 years later. So I just think it's a different concept, a different, again, pedagogical mind shift. I also put in Blue Valley's blended learning ideas. I went and did a blended learning lunch and learn, and they've got their heads wrapped around this blended learning. They're the ones who created that levels of learning as well. What they're doing is getting their teachers comfortable in Canvas because it's the tool that's going to deliver that content when they're not with the students. So that's a really good resource. And then the last thing, I'm going to try to put in a few more, but if you click on this link, it actually will take you to Commons. And this is another template that I have used in the past. I actually did a training in elementary. I synced some. What's the word for that? I synced everyone together. I synced. Oh, gosh. I put every elementary teacher into a blueprint course with me while I was doing this, and I shared this with them, and instantly it was dropped into their course. But this one is just really simple. It's already got the buttons created. You put in your right appropriate age limit. But it's linked out already. The teachers can go and fix this, but it's simple. It's already created. The buttons are already done. And then once they bring that in, you can fix it, change it. I mean, it's awesome. So I already shared this with the INCUE notes, but I'll try and find a few more that I've either used or used in the past. But this might be a good start for those levels, just because it's already done. And then you also notice earlier I was talking about compliances. There's 3 tables. So if you are an app district or if your students heavily use the app, in order to make sure that the app fits what's on the screen, 3 tables. That's all you need. If it's more, you have to scroll over and find what they're doing. So on any of the pages, 3 tables will fit to any of the app resources. That makes sense. 3 columns. What am I saying? Columns, tables, templates, whatever. 3. That's what you need to fit in the app. Okay, so I just shared that, and you guys can more than welcome to bring that in. Where's Jeremy? Where did Jeremy Beaver?
District chair.
Noblesville? No. Yeah. Dude? Anywho, he made this, so if you need help, you can reach out to your students. So yeah, I'll try to find a few more resources to share, but I wanted to get those on there, and I'll go ahead and share those with you guys. Awesome. I don't know where he works. I know he lives here. I was always bummed when he can't show up to these things, and I get to go.
I think we're shipping him up to Canada. Which I don't know what that is.
All right, I guess we're going to introduce.
So Marcus and Eddie have started a new podcast. Some of you might have heard about, and so they were going to come. I said, "Hey, do you want to share a little bit about your podcast and what you see it being, and why you did it?" So you guys want to kind of share?
Well, yeah, that's
You can go on up there if you want.
I'm just standing up.
Ask about the logo, Eddie.
Huh?
Your logo.
Yeah, it's there.
What's the question?
What are the INCUEs? My first thought was green pyrenees, but that's only because I have green pyrenees.
They're pandas.
I can see right here. I didn't say that.
Does anybody know which one's Marcus? It's a growing debate.
The taller one.
The blue glass.
Which one's taller?
The yellow glasses.
So we obviously being the new kid on the block, like I'm like 6 months into Canvas. Marcus is an OG, so he's been in Canvas for a long time. And I had started to do some things, like I built a video over studio. I created some material, just some things for my corporation. Being a career and tech ed district, it's kind of a little different. And some people in the marketing department have reached out to me and said, would you write some blogs? Would you contribute to the community? And I do not write well. I have no business writing anything, typing anything. My background is audio video production. So Marcus and I were having these like really strong debates about me being the new guy and learning all these like really cool new things, and Marcus kind of being in the trenches as somebody that's been in from like day one. And he was like, oh, I didn't even know that could happen. And then I was learning stuff from him. He was learning stuff from me. And we had like this really common discourse between the two of us. So I said, you know what, this would be great. Like if we could package this into a format that was on a podcast. So we created a thing at the end of September, right before October, like September 27th, we sat down and got on a mic and put some things together. And our goal was that we would have people from the community be a part of it. So, and I think it's worked out really well. People have responded. We just included, we've kind of been working on this in case people had questions. We could send this out to people in the Canvas community. But I'm a CT innovation coach at Central Line Career Center in Greenwood, Indiana. Marcus is the coordinator of digital learning at Twin Lakes. And again, we just thought the podcasting piece was really important. Like there's the Canvas community where I've learned so much and Marcus has learned so much. But we felt like writing a blog or typing all of our thoughts out, why not best use our skills and knowledge for the community? So that's really why we started it. But again, we started it on September 27th. We had a teacher trailer that went out. We had Megan Tolan, was episode 1. Obviously, you all know who she is. She's absolutely fantastic. Even though she's using Moodle now, she still was.
She uses Canvas. The
Right.
school uses Moodle.
Right. Oh, that's right. She's very rogue. She's very rogue. So that was a great episode with her. And then it was weird because we launched this thing. We did some research before and said, we're not going to create something that's already created. We're not going to fill the market unless there's another podcast out there. We found out like in 2015 was kind of the last time somebody attempted this. But we started getting like these direct messages from people all over the place, all over the country. And then Paul Towers, who's in the UK, reached out to us and we were like, yeah, we're going to have you on. You're from London, right?
I was just like,
I don't care who you are, right?
just read me the directions to like macaroni and cheese.
Right, yeah, it was fantastic. So, and then we had the amazing Kona Jones on a couple weeks ago, and she was great. And then we had an episode where it was just Marcus and I, where we talked about some of the things that we're working through. So, kind of a little look at where we've been. In a short time, this is the power of podcasting. In a short time, we have over 1,400 plays. We have an estimated audience of about 200 people. Anchor doesn't really tell. We're using Anchor as our publishing platform. They don't really tell us how many listeners we have. They call it an estimated audience. It's the total number of plays divided by the total number of episodes. That's kind of the number that they give you. But we're on all platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast, whatever, Pocket Cast, whatever podcasting player that you like. I'm doing all the talking, Marcus. Should you do some of this? We're in 11 countries, 33 states. Marcus will tell you some of our short-term and long-term goals, so you don't think that we're just a fly-by-night. We've got 5 episodes and we're done. We're pretty fly-by-night.
So, we did sit down and Eddie's the business guy, and I'm just like along for the ride because he's got all the talent. But we did want to outline some goals so that the folks that were listening and campus itself would see that there was a vision. We just felt like and feel like we didn't want to be like a tutorial. It did not speak to either of us to be. We're going to do a screencast on how to create a thing. Like, no. There's a time and a place for that. Our goal really is to facilitate the community, facilitate the continue the conversations in a platform in a medium that wasn't happening, frankly. And so to do it in a manageable chunk of time, where it's a commute, it's a listen on the commute, it's a listen while you're getting ready for work or on the treadmill, that kind of thing. So we put a lot of thought into letting our guests be the authority. We don't own the knowledge. We are simply there to try to ask the right questions to pull the knowledge out of these great individuals worldwide, in hopes that when you listen, you can take something. You can take something away that you're interested in, a tact strategy that somebody brings up and say, that's something I want to try. I'm doing that today, this morning, from listening to you guys. So we just thought there was a need there.
Our goal is we're hoping to have like 30 episodes by the end of our first year. We'd like to have 75 episodes by the end of our second year. We will not stress this enough. We are the unofficial podcast. We're not getting any, Canvas isn't really endorsing us. It's just me and Marcus and the studios that we've created in our homes.
And he's in his closet.
I'm in the closet. Great acoustics in there, by the way, if you ever need to. And again, we put some metrics on here so you guys can see if you're ever discussing like the power of social media with people. This is great to show. Like 28 days, like how many impressions you can have. And then this is an older version. We updated it. There's an updated link on the doc. But just good to kind of take a look at as far as like where we're going, who's listening, and how they're listening. It's been interesting because I've never really dug into the metrics of that before in a podcasting format. So it's pretty cool. But we hope you guys can get something out of it. And we'd love to have you on as guests. I think we're always looking for guests. We have had some conversations with people internally at Canvas on some things that we'd really like to do. Like we'd love to, so we're going to start this ground game right here, right now. We'd love to be on stage at InstructorCon and do a live episode. And have a live audience. So that's kind of that's like the high in the sky, like where we want to be at some point. But I think that would be really cool and something fun to do and have people on stage. Thanks for giving us the time, Kyle.
I'll do what I can for you guys.
What's that?
I'm trying to be the MC at InstructorCon, so if I can do that, I'll try to get you on stage. I love it.
Any questions? Any questions? Good answer.
Share it out with your staff.
You still have. And we have lots of. I have one more minute. We do have like giveaways. Canvas sent us a box of stuff. We're gonna give those away. If you follow us, we're gonna release. We'll probably have a contest here in a day. So just to get more followers, people who review podcasts, things like that, they stickers. So you don't know Dakota Jones. Just go on campus.
She's all over there.
Well, I had a break after this, but I took that at the time. So we are actually. So we're really. So really, we plan on just doing some breakout sessions. I took what you guys put in the RSVP on what you were interested in talking about, and took the ones that kind of kept coming up over and over again. So we have 5 different groups, really 4 groups. One might just come up today. Good quizzes came up a lot. Just people want to talk about using it, how they're using it. AK will lead that group.
Sure. Yeah.
And love to have you people say, we've been using it for 5 or 6 years now. Now we'll have our staff beyond that. So that's something that you're about that same time period with Canvas, if you want to kind of discuss what are some of the roadblocks you're experiencing, what are some of the things that you're doing to kind of move your staff to more blended learning. That could be group templates. We'll talk a little bit about that today, but what are some templates you have, whether it be for K1, 2, or middle school, high school, higher ed? What are some templates you're using for assessments? What are some things that you're doing? So if that's something you're interested in. Pass back outcomes. So grade pass back. So if you're using Power School and what are your, there's some questions people had about how that's working and how they're using that. I think probably outcomes if you're using Mastery Paths, if you're using any of those things, that might be a group that you want to be a part of. Standards-based reporting, and that's something you will see how that works in Kansas. And then, like I said, the last table really is there's something that is not on there, and then the next breakout session we have some different ones as well. Is there anyone that would be interested in kind of spearhead, not that you're the guru on new business, but like to for your group just to kind of take notes and kind of lead that session? Anybody interested in planning the notes down? Bueller.
I'll leave it.
Okay, awesome. So this front area is going to be table 1. What about year 5, 6? Now what? That's where I'm at. I'm trying to tell the questions. Okay, so Kyle's going to be up here to table 2. Table 3, templates. Anybody be interested in kind of taking notes? That group would be interested in templates. All right, I'll do that one in the back over there. Table 4, pass back outcomes. We'll do back here. Anybody willing to take notes for that group? Thank you. All right, so feel free to gather around one of those 4 areas. If there's a 5th one, maybe gather around the piano.
We will be singing our discussions every week, so can't hear the tune.
All right, we're ending this session because you're not going to be able to hear the groups. So, hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, so this one's not bad either.